going down on the pod. Shake Grandson. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Focus on You podcast. I'm your host, as always, Killa, and I don't have John here to ruin that for me. So when he sees this back, stay in your place. I'm here with I don't even know if I want to call you a special guest for real, because you're going to be like a regular on the show. So, like, you're a guest, but not really a guest. Yeah. But this is my guy, bro. I don't even know what you want to go by. Y'all got all these different names y'all be calling yourself.
No, you call me Dawuan. Come on,
yeah. Well, he said it, Dawuan. So, yeah, thanks for coming on, bro. Super excited to have you here. I think we got a good episode in store. Yeah, we're just leaning on the leading of the Spirit. So, just like we do most episodes, I keep saying every episode, but I don't really know if it's every episode because sometimes, oh my gosh, sometimes I forget. Yeah, to ask y'all. Yeah. But we're gonna start off. This might ruin the pod. Okay. This might end the episode right here. This is crucial. Okay. You ready to answer this question?
Yeah.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, it is not a sandwich.
I dropped the mic, bro. That's crazy. But you answered correctly. It's like Matrix. Red pill, blue pill. You got one shot. It's a 50-50 chance.
Right.
But you answered correctly. Now explain it.
So pretty much if you think about a hot dog, it's just not a sandwich. Like, it's a hot dog bun and a hot dog. And you put it together does not make it a sandwich. You don't make it a sandwich. Mind you, if I had like a hot dog bun.
We're going to go ahead and stop.
Okay, all right. My fault. You said this episode 1, my fault.
Oh, man, I'm in tears. Oh, shoot. We just prayed for the episode.
Could you imagine the comments? Who is this man?
We thought you looked a little light. Oh, man. Gosh. Okay, so yeah, moving on. You gave the right answer. We'll give you credit for that. Wow.
Right, thanks.
Oh, brother. I got to saturate with you too. They're going to ask me when I post, is this for kids? Oh, I don't know why that's doing me. Gosh. Okay. Woo. Back on topic. So I brought you in here similar to what I did with John. I kind of want to give a little bit of our backstory, how you got introduced into my life. Approximately how long we've known each other. I mean, because I lost count, bro. It's been a long time.
Right.
But yeah, just kind of like our story. So I don't even remember the first time I met you. Mm-hmm. It might have been when you was in middle school, high key, and it was probably when our older brother Brian, because he was in jazz band in middle school. He's the one that got me into music and everything. It might have been the time that he asked us to come into the school because you and him had wrote some kind of song. Well, you called it a song, but it was really a beat.
Yeah, it was a beat.
It was a beat.
Right.
And he wanted to perform it for me, my brother, for me, John, and my mom. Mm-hmm. And so we went up to the school, and I saw you, and I remember thinking, who is this skinny dude, afro and glasses? Like, I really wish we could cut the picture into the video because I was like, hey, yo.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, it probably would have been in middle school, and it probably would have been due to band, because at that time, so y'all family was pretty strict, so I couldn't like just come over. So
it was a lot of paperwork involved.
yeah, I couldn't just like come over, so it had to been like the middle school we went through, and I remember like meeting y'all, and I was getting so close to Brian, I was just like. I didn't, not to be job, but I was just like, okay, cool. Like, these are younger brothers. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't even think it really started until when I started coming over. And I was like, oh, okay, like, it's not just Brian, it's you and John. Like, similar things, doing the similar stuff.
Yes, we were all very, very similar. Yeah. Whatever Brian did, we did. Right. He was just part of it, with the exception of sports. Brian isn't a huge sports person, but he's getting into it a little bit now, but besides sports, everything Brian did, we did, for sure.
Right. And I remembered, like, video games, like, fighting, like, wrestling, like, all that stuff. It's almost like everything that I wanted in brothers, because I grew up an only child. So it was kind of like, wow, this is, like, a new experience, and, like, I'm trying to come over all the time. I really can't at the time. Yeah. Because it was, at the time, my mom was the one that was dropping me off. It was just, like, a couple hours.
Oh, my God. You just
It was like, yeah, we couldn't be around each other like that long. Like y'all were even like on 30-minute video game limits, like each.
Dang, you taking me down memory lane, bro. Yeah, for real. Because I remember that. Because I'm like, you would come over and it would seem like you just got there. We just getting started, and then your mom's already back picking you up, and we're like, "Can we stay? Did you have fun?" Yes, we had fun, but it's not enough time. You didn't have time to do nothing. Right. And then the 30-minute video game restriction was crazy because I'm like, if anybody that plays video games, like especially like 2K, Madden, a game is not 30 minutes. We gotta have to cut the quarterlings way down, and you pray to God it don't go to overtime.
Right. Like every time my mom would come over, and she'd be like, "Are you ready?" I'd hope they'll just spark a conversation.
Yeah, just like talk to my mom for a little bit.
Just let me run off.
Yeah. Go.
For real.
Yeah.
But I think now thinking back towards it, I think maybe the sports thing, because I had more interest in sports than Brian did at the time.
Yeah.
That I started gravitating towards you and John more at that time, and then from there it was just like rock solid, like cool since day one.
Yeah, this is my dog for life. For life. Yeah, that was definitely it was cool because even though you were able to come over for like small periods of time, I feel like you came over pretty, especially, well, in the beginning it was kind of scattered, but the more and more you came over, like I feel like it came to like once a week to twice a week to 4 times a week to you there every day. Right. Like he lives here, my dad's like my DTE bill, I gotta work. Then it's, Dad, can Dawuan come over? Can we get pizza? Y'all better go get your little skis. Take them pop cans back. Oh my gosh. That was my dad's favorite thing to say. Y'all gonna be up in here eating little skeezers, playing the game all night, running up my DTE. Y'all better go take them pop bottles back, get you some coins. Right? It was crazy. But yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because you did grow up most of your childhood as an only child. Mm-hmm. So coming from being an only child to coming into my family, where it's 5 of us siblings. So I got a younger brother, John, my older brother, Brian, 2 older sisters, Tamara and Courtney, and my parents. So, and it was a ranch house, 1 bathroom, crazy.
Right.
So you add you in the mix too, things was a little tight.
Right.
But I wanted to ask you, like, how did that feel, like somebody from like an only child coming into like, you know, a big family like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, being an only child, it was like everything that, you know, things around you I kind of like grabbed towards. So it's kind of like I didn't have nobody around to really pique my interest or to like kind of do similar things with. So it's kind of like all my thoughts, like all my ideas, all the things I wanted to do. So
for sure,
by the time I got more close with your guys' family, and spending more time with you guys, it was literally like I kind of lost myself. Not in a bad way, but just as a child. It was like it really didn't matter what, you know, I wanted per se or what I even thought to do. It was just like, how do I fit in? You know, how do I make it seem like, oh, I'm like one of these guys, or like how do I make it seem like I'm one with the family? Like I just wanted to be a part.
For sure.
Because it was a new experience that I never really had, and it's actually fun because I had a talk with my grandma recently about this because even she had some feelings towards herself about me during that time because she felt like she could have did more, and that and that she could have been like a better grandmother, and I had to tell her, like, no, like I was like Grandma, you gotta understand, like I was a kid, like I never had brothers, so going over your guys' house, I was like, that was new for me. Like I was always used to me coming home from school, getting my weekly little chocolate milk.
The chocolate milk is crucial.
It's crucial. Sitting in front of TV or just playing video games until my mom got off. Yeah. But then once I like started like to know you guys, get closer to you guys, then it was like, oh, they're doing stuff together. Like, oh, like they eat together. Like, oh, like all that stuff was like new stuff. And I had to tell my girl, I was like, it wasn't on you. It had nothing to do with you. Right. So you can't even harbor those feelings. And I didn't want her to harbor those feelings.
Right.
But it was definitely something where it was like, you start to realize that those things inside of you that you always wanted, and it's starting to appear in front of your eyes, how much you're willing to give up to be a part of it. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I remember that's deep. because I don't know, you just started the next segment, making my job easy today. Woo! But I wanted to ask you about that too, because I was like, there was a period of time that I remember, like, you was coming over every day, and you basically, like, you packed a duffel bag and was, like, basically living at our house for a long time.
Right.
But knowing how my parents are, like, yes, they loved having you around. It's not like you weren't welcome there or anything. But there was that dynamic of you do have, like, a family that you have to go back to at some point. Like, you got to see your mom, your dad, you got to see, you know, your grandparents. So I wanted to ask you, like, what were your feelings when that conversation came up and that happened, and it was like, well, okay, you can't spend as much time here because you got to make sure you're spending time with your family as well.
Right. So you're talking about like a teenage kid. So yeah, I wasn't happy, like, you know, to hear it.
Yes.
It's like every time I come over, it's fun. Like it's
Did you have fun?
Like it's literally great. Like it's an awesome time every time I came over. Like you have to imagine like basketball, skating, wrestling, video game, like all this stuff, and it's like something I never had from a child until then. So when the conversation came up to start like spending more time with my family, it almost was like, well, what's there? Like,
yeah, it felt empty, kind of.
It felt empty, yeah. And looking at it now, it's like, you can start to see the seeds being planted of like idols as a kid and as a teenager, because the Lord had to share with me the roots of selfishness.
Yeah.
So most people know like selfish people, like for the bad reasons, like narcissism, like the people who make it all about them, things like that. But what about the things where it seems like it's good, but the root is still selfish? So it's like it sounds good to always be like, hey, let's hang out, let's do this, let's hang out, and people from the outside go, oh, that sounds good, like
it's innocent.
It seems innocent, but really in your heart, you know, like I'm getting my fix. I feel like I'm getting what I deserve.
Yeah.
So that's why I had a hard time. The family saying that, hey, go spend time with your family. Like, no, I'm getting exactly what I wanted.
So you're saying, essentially, in your heart, was you made spending time with my family like an idol?
For sure.
Because it was like something that was trying to take, and it's one of those tough situations too, where it's like, in no way or shape or form we're trying to say like people can't lean into things that make them happy.
Right.
But when the leaning into something that makes you happy takes the place of God. And tries to fill the void or the spot that only God can fill, that's when it became an idol. So you were spending more time with us. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not saying it.
You right on.
Spending time with us to try to avoid your situation at home because you felt maybe a sense of loneliness, or like, you know, everybody likes their parents, I hope.
Yeah.
But like, you know, hanging out with your mom is not the same as hanging out with the boys. Right. It's just not the same.
Right.
So I think that's why it was the consistency of wanting to come over all the time, because you finally had brothers that, like, people that understood and had similar interests to you. Right. If I'm picking up what you're saying.
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's completely 100% perfect.
A+. My bad, y'all. I'm in a mood today. I don't know what's but go ahead, bro. Yo, bro.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. So when my mom got divorced with my biological dad, and my biological dad left when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I always viewed it as a kid. I didn't say it to myself, but my actions showed that I was living in a broken home. So by the time I got to know you guys, it's like, okay, there's a mom, there's a dad there, there's brothers there, there's sisters there.
Yeah.
So like exactly how you said, I started to idolize your guys' family because it's literally picture perfect, like what I wanted. When I was around you guys, you gotta think, when people see us out in public all together, no one's thinking like, oh, like that's a friend of the family.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Like I'm just one of y'all.
Yeah. Just a little light.
Just a that's literally it. But unless they ask, but like I'm literally walking around like I'm wanted, like I'm one of y'all, like I'm here. Yeah. And so like them, like back to the regular question you asked me, it was tough to take, but I didn't make it any better because I would spend 2 days like over my grandparents. And at this time, my mom got remarried to my stepdad.
Yeah.
And they lived in a city, like the inner city pretty much. So I had to live with my grandparents for some time.
Yeah.
So not only is it not my mom that I'm seeing every week, but I'm also staying with my grandparents who are perfectly fine. They're just older. So it's kind of hard for them to grasp where I'm at in life. And also it's hard for me to grasp where they are at in life.
Right.
So what I would do at that time, I would just spend like 2 days, like one day with them, maybe like wash some clothes. I'm like, all right, 5 more days back at.
I just got to survive these 2 days and then back to the bar.
That's literally, yeah. That's exactly it.
Wow. That's interesting though. But I definitely understand where you're coming from though. Because if I tried to put myself in your shoes and say like, okay, I'm an only child, and then I have this family that like is welcoming me there. I'm allowed to be there all this time.
Right.
And we're having a great time when I'm here. There's literally everything I could have imagined a family to be, and then being told to like, you got to spend more time at home.
Yeah.
That would be tough.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I definitely understand why my parents said it, and I think they were right for saying it.
For sure.
But that doesn't mean that it makes it easy.
Right.
For sure, especially for like a young guy coming up, not really having the wisdom or knowledge. And I don't know what that conversation was like between you guys, what all was said, or if there was a reason given. But I can see now why it was said. But I also want to ask you, do you think that like seeing, not just aside from the siblings, because I know that was kind of the focus, the vocal point of what we were talking about, as far as like your ideal of a family, wanting to have siblings, people with similar interests. But do you think also a part of that was played because, seeing that your mom was divorced and that your biological dad wasn't in the picture, but then she remarried and got your stepdad? Do you think that being at my house is kind of like an escape from that stuff in a sense as well, as far as like seeing a family picture where you got both the parents that are still there? My dad was home every day, my mom there. Do you think that was part of like a comfort thing for you as well?
Yeah, for sure. Because mind you, I was a little bit younger, but like I had issues with seeing like a mom and a dad like pick their kid up, and like my grandma just picking me up.
Yeah.
So my ways of coping were definitely like, I was pretty much getting it all hanging around y'all. Like it was fun, it was everything I wanted, but it was also my way to escape.
Yeah.
It was also a way to cope because being at home would be a constant reminder of what I didn't have.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I know this now because of what's been told, and what I've learned about myself, if I had spent more time at home, I probably would have found out who I was quicker than me trying to cope and escape. Because then I would face it. I would face my fear. My fear was being alone. So if I have a fear of being alone, the only way to get rid of it, not in all cases, but in my case, was I have to be comfortable being alone.
Yeah.
And I was doing everything in my power as a young man to avoid that. And like, that's the whole thing about the roots of selfishness. Like I was definitely like, not say I didn't love you or like love second or like love you after. Of course I do, but it was all from a selfish standpoint. All trying to serve that idol in me. Yeah, for sure. Like all my thoughts, all my ideas and things like that.
Yeah. So I think you have a powerful testimony that I think would be good for you to share. Because I know me and you have talked before about how God, through that time of you figuring out how to be okay being by yourself, how God has ministered to you different things. So I think that would be cool to share. I'm interested because I might not look at all the details. I might not have heard everything the first time.
Okay.
But yeah, so, I mean, fast forward a little bit, spending more time at home, and then it'll probably be another episode that we'll talk more in depth about it, if that's cool with you. But eventually, your mom and your stepdad both passed away. So you had to deal with a whole nother family dynamic of now trying to deal with, your, would they be considered stepsisters?
Yeah, but I just call them my sisters.
Stepsisters. Dealing with your sisters, and then them now not being in the picture. So like now you're really like, it's either the Roberts or
Yeah.
But then God opened the door for you to get your own place, and then you went through a period of time of moving in with some family members. That was the whole thing. So we're fast forwarding through a lot, but I promise you there'll be another episode where we explain and get into all that stuff. But you being at your own place now, how has your mentality and your feeling about the situation changed since growing closer to the Lord and having, I hate to use the word independence, but kind of like your independence?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. So
that's why I get paid the big bucks. We're not getting paid for this.
Endorsed by Lil Skeezer.
Lil Skeezer, you want to sponsor? Hit me up. I give you a lot of money.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. So where I'm at now. So over the years, probably since 2020. Again, you don't graduate from the class unless you pass it. So, the one thing my dad told me is that you're going to keep repeating the class until you pass it. Yeah. And that's how it is with the Lord. So all these years of dealing with fear and not wanting to be alone, we were told by our pastor back in 2020, he sent us a website of this book, or this like article, and the title was Alone But Not Lonely. And what that had to deal with was God. Well, it had to deal with us, but trying to fill the God spot.
Yeah.
Looking for other things to feel that only something that the Lord can. And with me and what we've been talking about with you guys, not just you guys, but like music, sports, video games, even women, lust, things like that. It's like all those things I tried to use to fill this God spot, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
But I remember first I had to repent.
Yeah.
You know, I had to acknowledge, confess, and turn away from my sins.
Yeah.
That was the first step. From there, the Lord, over the years, had to show me myself, because the one thing that I've learned that the Lord doesn't do, he doesn't just put all of your issues out in front of your face and like deal with it.
Yeah.
He works with us as we confess, as he gives us his wisdom.
Yeah.
He works with us, and he's patient. He's long suffering with us.
For sure.
So I found out that I had lots of reasons of why I did what I did and why I was so lonely. So you hit the nail on the head exactly when you said about my biological dad. I never felt like I was good enough. I never felt like anything I did got attention. So I just tried really hard to be the best at what I did, or be a part of something.
Yeah.
To help cope with that issue.
Right.
But ultimately, during the time of when I got my place now, the Lord, he pretty much scattered us almost. I mean, you got married.
Yeah. You and John keep bringing that up. That'll be an episode. I'm
sure.
Oh, what?
Was I not supposed to say
that? No. It's not that you weren't supposed to say it. It's just, John, we was talking about how our relationship was and how things look different after I got married.
Oh, okay.
And now you're bringing, so I'm sure that'll be an episode.
Oh, okay. No, but you had responsibilities as a husband and a man in your own household. So that's why I kind of was separated from you. And then second, he's younger than both of us. Yeah. So he was still growing into his own. So literally it was like all the things that we did, hanging out, skating, basketball, other sports, video games, anime. It was just like, now it was just nothing. Yeah. Now it was just like me at the house. So
I was like, I'm just trying to. That's not good. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
You was like, oh, I know.
You know what I was thinking?
Yeah.
You just sitting in there. Wait, what's that song that they be singing? I tried to do it, but everything stays the same. I don't know what the song is. That's crazy.
Hello, darkness.
Waking up in the morning, thinking about some different things. Just wish things would get better, but everything stays the same. Yeah, that's humorous. Yeah. So literally, imagine everything you wanted, and it's just taken away. Again, more in details, Lord willing, later we'll talk more in depth about my parents passing. But they were also out for me too, because now not only did I idolize your family, but now I started idolizing my own. Yeah.
And you go from a house of laughter and joy into just a house of silence. And you figure out who you are behind closed doors really fast.
Mm-hmm.
When it's just you, no relationships, like male and female relationships. It's just you.
Yeah.
And God, you and God need that time of singleness so that He can show you and put that mirror to face and show you who you are.
Yeah, for sure.
And I got to that point where it's like, oh, wretched man that I am.
Mm.
So
not the wretched man.
Gosh, it's tough, but it's like at that point, and even just continuously, you just have to accept that point. Like, oh, wretched man that I am. You have to be in a constant state of being broken before the Lord.
Yeah.
So when it came to my fears and things about being alone, I would literally, there'll be times where I would come over for like a brief second and hang out over your guys' house, but
For sure.
in my car, I'd be crying. Like, I literally be weeping.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Like, you would come over, hang out, everything would be good, but then that drive home was tough. Yeah, I remember that.
And it was just from that, it was just like even after the word. So, getting back to the website, the article, I looked for other things to fill that void in me, otherworldly things. And we talked about the world being, it'll chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah.
Like, it'll tear you up.
That's for sure.
And I realized about myself, I had a lot of envy, had a lot of anger towards my dad. Both of them. My biological dad and my stepdad.
Yeah.
And I had some hurt about how I handled my mom's death. I just had a lot of hurt. And I remembered the Lord telling me, flesh can't do better. Flesh can never do better.
Yeah.
You knew what you knew at the time. I wasn't seeking Him at the time. And you did what only your carnal mind did.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like, what else would you expect?
What else would you expect?
Yeah.
And that's hard truth, but it was also loving words because it was the truth.
Yeah.
So the point where I got to where I'm not lonely, or I don't even feel lonely, is I stopped looking for other things, and I had to forgive.
Yeah.
I had to forgive a lot. I had to forgive my biological dad for the things he did when I was a kid. I had to forgive my stepdad. Towards probably about the last year or two of his life, just seeing him like go through a tough time. Because mind you, after my biological dad, I had this own idea of what my dad should be like. And when he didn't match up, it was like, oh shoot, then you're not like a real dad, or you're not the dad that I wanted.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's deep, though.
It's tough because I already had an image from hanging out with you guys. So
yeah, that's something that you don't. Wow, that's something that you don't think about, because I mean, similar to, and again, it would be an episode, but similar to my marriage, like there were things that like you see on like reality TV, whatever, or you get to paint this picture in your head of what it's going to be like, and in no way, shape, or form is that me saying that my marriage is bad, or that's you saying that your stepdad was bad.
Right.
It's just not what you fantasized about in your head. Fantasies are not reality. So you have to take each person for who they are and how they are, and try to grow that relationship with the Lord, and that's what's important. So that's deep that you said that, because I can relate to that. That's interesting.
Well, yeah. So on top of forgiveness, you think about the price that was paid for all of us. Christ dying, for our sins.
Yeah.
So I had an issue with forgiving myself, and the issue came from condemnation. Like, I was like, man, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe that I went through this. But it's like, flesh is gonna do what it's gonna do.
Yeah.
If I'm not praying, if I'm not seeking God, or here's the real kicker: if God isn't enough for me, if Christ isn't enough for me,
yeah,
then what else was I gonna get?
Because a lot of people will look at that and say, like, you never said Christ wasn't enough for you. Yeah, you never verbalized that.
Right.
But like, one thing that I think we often forget about is that actions speak louder than words sometimes. Like, just because you don't say it, how does your life look to Him?
Right.
If you're not pursuing Him or seeking Him, you're saying you're not enough.
Yeah.
Or even you can take it a step further and say the fantasy life that we have or the ideals that we set up for, it's saying, God, your plan is not enough for me. This is what it's a deep thing because it goes back to Adam and Eve in the garden with the tree.
Amen.
When they ate, they would be wise in their own eyes.
Yeah.
Yes, our own understanding is what we learned is darkness. So our own understanding is in the God that is in us. They will be as gods, knowing good and evil. So the God in us is telling us that I know what I want or what I have need of, and this is how I'm going to go about getting it. But God is saying, no, you don't know yourself. Like I know you. I created you. Right. So I'm saying this is what you need. But we don't see it that way. So that's deep.
Exactly. I'm going to go to this because you said something before we got on. You said,
let's get back to Bible.
you said, I bring it. And he's like, are you going to use it this time?
That's great. Oh, I didn't say that. That's true. Because every time like you come, you like brought your word.
I just want to say,
just prepare, which is good. Yeah. This is a great thing. I love it.
Yeah. No, but this is where I was at. This is what broke me down. So this is James 3:16.
Okay.
For where envying and strife is, there is confusion in every evil work. And that's it.
That's it.
Confusion in every evil work. Confusion because you just said our own understanding is darkness. Yeah. I'm confused. I'm in my own darkness.
So if it's darkness, it's an evil work. So.
But envying is so deep because I talked to another brother in the body, and he said envying isn't just desiring something that someone else has. It's saying that they shouldn't have it, and you should. I was like, that hits because for so long you said fantasy life. I had this fantasy life of this perfect family, and I felt robbed. I felt like this is something I deserved. Wow. So literally, like everything that the Lord showed me, it was like checkmate. Like what else can I say? Like Lord,
what you supposed to say after you say all that?
Right. Like Lord, this is me. This is how I am. So from the moment the Lord reveals to you your own works and what you're trying to do, then you have the opportunity to enter into His rest. Mm-hmm. You can enter into His rest.
That basically sums up what you were saying, though. Just to your point. Because I think everybody at some point has to go through that warring in their mind where they get to the point of humility. And I think in the last episode, maybe not the last episode, but the first episode I talked with John, when we was talking about when we went to that restaurant, and he was asking us what's the world, or like, doing all this stuff. There was a point that's like pride kicks up and wants to be like, I have this certain image or this certain stature, or like this place that I feel like I have to, that I'm at, that I need to obtain, or what's the word I'm looking for? Sustain. Mm-hmm. But in actuality, humility needs to come in and allow you to just humble yourself. And I think everybody's going to have to. If you're a believer, you're going to have to get to a point where you humble yourself to what God is saying. Because I think there's a saying that somebody said, I can't remember, so do not quote me on this person. But I remember it from watching a Medea movie, which is crazy. But she said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. But I took that and I said, when God shows you who you are, believe Him. Because if He knows you better than you know yourself, and we just talked about how when Adam and Eve ate from the tree, as a result of that, we all have our own goodness, our own knowledge, our own understanding. Right. When God shows you that this is how you thought this way, believe Him. Right. And then it takes the humility to say, okay, Father, you're right. This is what my thought was. This is the true intentions of my heart behind what I'm saying and what my actions are showing. Because like I said before, you might not verbalize it, but your actions will show whether you think God is sufficient for you, or He's enough for you, or you trust the plans that He has for your life, and you're not just trying to, be your own God and set up your own life. It'll show whether you say it or don't. So I think everybody has to get to that point.
Amen. Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
And So really, I felt. I'm sorry, I don't want to use that word. I believe when the loneliness, all that went away, when God became enough for me. Yeah. And I could truly see His light in my life, and His hand and His mercy and grace on my life. Yeah. But also understanding forgiveness too. Forgiveness isn't just like something happens to you, and I just learned this too. Mm-hmm. Something happens to you, and because you don't blow up on them doesn't mean it's forgiveness.
Yeah.
Like some people might think that, because I didn't go off on you, well, I forgive you, or I'll just hold it in. It's like,
no, that's suppression. That's not Bible. That's trauma.
That's trauma. Yeah. So it's literally like getting it off of you, like communicate. You know, if you have an older brother, go to him and him alone. You know, those things. Yeah. But it's difficult because then my dad died, so it's like how I can't but the only way that I could was through prayer.
Yeah.
And understanding the flesh and what it was going to do. But also in the word where it talks about despise not that youth, but therefore be an example to the believers.
For sure.
So that let me know, okay, God, you know, like you knew what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. And you were still long suffering with me. You were still patient with me.
Yes, the goodness of God.
The goodness of God, for real. Yeah. And again, like there's other details too, but ultimately now, like when I'm at home because of the Lord, it's like I can't wait to have a day like by myself for real. Yes. I can't wait, have alone time, study, whatever, play video games, whatever.
Because bro, you don't even know. Growing up in the house of fire, I wish I lived by myself. Leave me alone.
Right. And now it's like, dang, I gotta go out, man. I gotta.
People. I don't want to go to the store.
Right, which is this whole thing, but no, like literally, like the Lord broke me. He broke me down. That was the only way that it was going to happen, was through the outer man dying or being broken, and the inner man shining through. So,
amen to that. Yeah, like I said, we're definitely going to have an episode where we can go more in depth about more of that stuff and more of our relationship. I'm sure I'll have an episode where I have me, you, and John all here at the same time. I keep calling him different things because I'm not used to calling him Second J, which is what he wants to go by.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But anyways, I'm sure I have an episode with all three of us on there. And like I said, you're going to be on here pretty regularly as well. So people will get to know you more and more the more episodes we do. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for today. As always, like, comment, subscribe. And I'm new to this, Grandshine. I call him Grandshine sometimes too. So but Grandshine, I'm new to this. So I don't know how the YouTube works.
Yeah.
So I just found out there's a bell you can hit.
Oh.
So you can get notified when I post a new video. Look at that.
Oh, look at that.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
So yeah, y'all like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified when we post a new pod. And yeah, stay tuned. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Focus on ya!